Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome back to another episode of the Trap or Dive Podcast. Tonight, this episode is all things Washington football, man. We got the full crew with us. Dre, AJ, fellas. How y'all doing, man? Have y'all let me ask y'all this question, right? I obviously I asked how y'all doing, but I gotta ask this first too. Have y'all ran into the cicadas yet on y'all end, wherever y'all at?
Nah, not on my end.
From yeah, no, I not. I mean, I live in Southern Maryland, so I haven't run into them yet. But when I went to go visit my peoples this weekend at Hyattsville, I seen a few dead ones on the ground. I was like, oh yeah, they coming.
Bruh, I did not see not one for like 2 weeks. Like whenever the cicadas started popping up and I saw them on social media, I did not see them for like 2 or 3 weeks, man. And fucking all of a sudden I go to my folks' house. They live like 10 minutes away from me. I see all the cicadas, dead cicadas on the ground. I'm like, damn, that's vicious. They got them, but I don't. I ain't tripping. But then when I walk Dakota,
Yeah, I don't want to.
bruh, I walked Dakota outside today for her afternoon walk, bruh. Cicadas everywhere. I'm like, how the fuck did they just magically appear in Bowie when they were not here for like 2 or 3 weeks? I don't get it, but they're everywhere. She tried to eat the cicadas as I predicted, and I don't know what I'm gonna do if they start flooding the whole streets, bruh. It's gonna get ridiculous. I don't know. I may have to fry them.
I might have to cook some of them.
I'm about to say because I seen a Twitter post right now. Somebody put an article out talking about some the proper way to fry cicadas and shit. You might want to give them a try. I said, bro, I don't know, man. People getting a little crazy. I seen a dude when I was the last time they were out. Man was eating cicadas at the playground, bro. I ain't. I don't know what prompted him to do that shit, but
clear.
Our people don't do that type of shit.
hey, I was about to say. If he was planning on getting the youngins, that was the wrong way to do it. Cause he definitely tried. But oh my goodness.
He was sending another message.
Nah, for sure. So look, fellas, we got a good show tonight, man. A short show for everybody who's tuned in live. Appreciate y'all for watching. What's going on, Kevin? Hey, AJ. Kevin said the window, the background. He said it's such a flex. Like you got a nice little setup over there, bro. but yeah, man, we got a good show for us tonight. JP actually just hit me, fellas. We have to try and he said he tried to join, but it didn't let him. So I'm gonna actually, what's going on with Disco? I'm gonna send you the link so you can just try and shoot it to JP directly. And that way he can probably try and work it out that way versus me sending it to his email, shit like that. So again, jam-packed show within like 25 minutes, right? Because we exactly. We about to get to the Morgan Moses talk for a little bit, but first we got some shit on the top of our head, bro, that we have to talk about, right? We're gonna start with the quote of the week, and that's gonna get into the discussion. The quote of the week is from Ryan Kerrigan. With all this Morgan Moses talk, we forgot that Ryan Kerrigan just a day before signed with the Philadelphia Eagles. We have to talk about that first. His quote, regarding signing with Philly and any revenge motivation factor and stuff like that, right? He said, no, not at all. I'm not like, oh, I got to get revenge. Get revenge on Washington, the place that's been so good to me. That wasn't a thought at all. Period. So, with that being said, obviously we know he signed with Philly to this point. Where's y'all head at with the Ryan Kerrigan thing? Like, are y'all even concerned about him getting revenge? But also, sum up y'all's career to this point with Kerrigan or his time with Washington. Like, sum that up. AJ, I know you had something to say, about Kerrigan and another player that we'll end up talking about. But talk to me. I want to hear you go first, bro.
I mean, him signing with Philadelphia is like, hey, go get your money, man. At the end of the day, for what he signed for, I think like $3.5 million. It was essentially Washington saying we wanted more speed coming off the edge from our second unit. At the end of the day, the fans think more about that rivalry stuff than these players. They trying to obtain as much money as they can for their family for the time being, and whoever has like pure interest in them. And for what I know, his market was pretty damn dry. So it's even a privilege for him to even get signed, a couple weeks after the draft. But I mean, overall, career-wise, a lot of people kind of overhyped the numbers, but I mean, he was average. He was a solid first-round pick, average, but he was never an elite pass rusher in my mind. You know, definitely a solid dude to be around. A lot of his former teammates had nothing but great things to say about him. His work ethic, he pretty much stayed himself, and I was always in the hand if needed. So I've always heard great things about him as a human being, and the time I've been around him, he's been cool. But yeah, I mean, hey, it is what it is. It happens.
Let's hear it, Dre.
Yeah, no, Ryan Kerrigan, he had a really good career for Washington football team, and a lot of fans they like to argue about what type of player he's been throughout his career here, and there's a good portion of them that thinks Ryan Kerrigan was elite because his numbers kind of were comparable to a J.J. Watt's, but his impact on the game wasn't the same as a J.J. Watt throughout his career. But either way, it was good for us. I mean, this team hasn't had a lot to cheer for, during his tenure here, but he was one of the consistent players on the roster. So I think it's a situation where the regime came in and now they're looking at a lot of the older guys that doesn't fit what they want to do moving forward. Ryan Kerrigan, Ryan Anderson, I think those are the DNs of the past for us, the power rush guys who don't give you much bend on the edge over there, and they want to get different. The 2 draft picks they made, I think, in the 7th round proved that with Shaka Toney and William Bradley King. So it was just that time to move on, and I'm not mad about him moving on to Philadelphia. Because personally, I know some people are saying, he could have went to the Bengals or the Steelers, but yeah. I mean, I still don't think of it as an out of spite thing for Ryan Kerrigan. He just doesn't strike me as that type of guy. I mean, sure, maybe he wants to play him twice a year, but I don't think it was one of those things where, I hate them now, I got to go out and kill him. I just think he probably thought it was the best situation for him. I mean, Philly's not that far. He got comfortable, in this East region.
You got to go where the money resides.
Exactly. So, right. They paid
where
him.
The money reside.
I don't know if he gets this competition. Like I said, I don't know if he's starting for the Eagles or not. But hey, like I said, if he felt it was best for him, that's cool, man. I mean, that's fine. He had a good career here. That was it.
Hey, let me talk to you. If he's starting for Philadelphia, they are tanking. I'll put it that way. I don't, as much as I'm a fan of, look, I respect Ryan Kerrigan and the person that he was with Washington, and I also will say I actually agree with both of y'all. I actually don't think it had very little to do with any motivation getting revenge against Washington. I actually think it had. I was talking to somebody, Shooters Dre, shout out to you, bro. I was telling him that I think if anything, it was 90% familiarity and comfortability within the NFC East and him knowing these areas versus the 10% of him actually like, you know what, I'm going to get back mode. I want to fucking make sure that Washington knows that I ain't no old dude with bad knees and one bull rush move, like whatever that is. Hey, I think that's where the 10% was. So with Kerrigan, for me personally, man, I never thought that he was an elite player. Thought he was very good. I thought he made plays for Washington, but I think the thing that kind of failed him, but also it wasn't necessarily showcased or highlighted because of like his numbers, his numbers were comparatively to a lot of people, Von Miller, J.J. Watt, all those people, comparatively speaking, he's just as high up there. But what the numbers don't tell you is the number of impact plays in the bigger games that kind of separated those two from Kerrigan. And that's kind of where the misconception lies with Kerrigan for me, especially among people in the fan base, because like when it comes to numbers, of course, when they look good and they're in your favor or they look a certain type of way, you're going to use them to the death. Like that's all you need. And for some people, like you're going to feel like, hey, that's what his numbers say. So what the hell are you talking about? You don't watch the games. But look, we all watch the games. We kind of knew where Kerrigan was. He was he always needed that A player. So for example, if we had Chase Young when Kerrigan was like in 2014, 2015, Kerrigan's a fucking probably close to all pro. Like that's how good of a person that you needed beside Kerrigan. And he wasn't getting that until it was too late. So I mean, it sucks for Kerrigan, and I respect what he did for us because he gave his 100% effort every single game, every single play. He gave that 100% effort. I just don't think he was never up there in terms of the top tier, no matter what the numbers say. Like that's just where I was with it, y'all. But I mean, I'm about to say if that's it, man. Look, we can just go. We can go ahead and move on to the top 10, right? But before that, Authentic mentioned he said that Ron's not interested in underperforming agent fan favorites, which is quite interesting. And I mean, at this point, Kerrigan is a fan favorite, right? And then Disco mentioned, Ryan was a very good player for the franchise, respect, but Cooley almost I call him that, Disco, but Cooley called him the king of almost, which is, I mean, that's literally what he was. Like it's almost making the play, it's almost getting that sack, but he never got it. Like he never got that sack. What's good, Sleezo? What's good, Darius? But yeah, top 10, right? Is Kerrigan in y'all top 10? So when I asked this question, I'm gonna let AJ take the first stab at this. Man. We saw a tweet, right? We saw a tweet a couple days ago, and the tweet just listed the top 10 players in the Dan Snyder era. Chat, for those who are in there, I want to hear y'all top 10 too. Let us know because we're about to talk about this for a little second. Top 10 players in the Dan Snyder era. The list mentioned, which was through, who was it? I think it was Michael Phillips, right? He mentioned shoot, I'm not even about to go through his list. But anyway, Dre, I'm gonna let you take the first stab at it. Where are you at with your top 10 guys? Because clearly the issue there with I think Michael Phillips, who it was kind of, it seemed like it was kind of out of touch there. Oh no, I think we got the boss man on. We got the boss man on.
Is he?
Yes, sir.
Just in time.
But go ahead and we can get our guy introduced as soon as you get yours out the way, Dre. Let's hear it.
Yo, guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, we got you. What's up, JP?
What's up, fellas?
Hey, what's up, JP?
I couldn't get it to work on my computer. Like, keeps telling me, I'm sorry for the delay. I really am.
Oh, don't
You got a clear ass camera. What kind of camera you got?
He got the 4K camera.
Dude, I got a phone with like terrible headphones. Like nothing's going right here. But I'm sorry about the delay. Glad to join you.
Hey, look, don't apologize, boss man. Look, we ain't about to take up much of your time. We appreciate the moment. We just having some fun right now, and talking some. Well, you saw the outline, so we're actually getting on to our top 10 players, right? And for those who are actually going to be listening to the podcast, we do got to do a little introduction, right? For some of y'all that's joining us, most of you all know him, especially if you're part of the Washington football community. But in case you don't, JP Finlay does excellent work over at NBC Sports Washington as a writer, podcaster, and insider for the network. He's also a part of one of the better podcasts in the DMV area, covering the Washington football team, titled the Washington Football Talk Podcast. And now you can even hear him on 106.7 The Fan. Weekdays from 10 to 2. JP, look, better late than never, right? How you feeling tonight, boss?
I'm good, man. That was a hell of an intro.
I do my preparation, man. You know what I'm saying? I respect all like this. But yeah, look, before we get into Dre's top 10, right? A little sidebar, but how did that? Because I know you did 106.7 like spot duties before you actually got your gig. How did that kind of prepare you for your actual show? Because you're doing this every day now for 4 hours daily. Like did that side? I think it was with Chad Deuce, right? How did that prepare you for your full-time gig with the daily show?
I mean, dude, what I've learned doing the radio show now for a little while is nothing can totally prepare you for that, right? Like it's a grind. I love it, and luckily, Beavish and I are tight. Like we've been close for a number of years now, so like, when we fight on air, it's real. When we're laughing on air, like it's real. I'm like a pesky, annoying little brother to him, and he's like an annoying big brother bully to me. Like it's real life. But like my biggest thing is just to make it fun, right? And I think if I'm having fun, then that comes through to listeners, and that's kind of always been my attitude with the podcast, which we've grown from nothing. That the podcast was me and Tandler in a Honda Pilot, like, and it's grown to something real. And I think you just got to be authentic and have good information and have reasonable takes. Like I think the people that try to like just be outlandish, people kind of laugh at.
It's not gonna last long.
Or just don't take seriously. Yeah. So like if you're trying to build something, you gotta present yourself honestly to your audience and not try to be something you're not. Like I think one of the biggest things for me when I started doing the podcast, and maybe it helped me doing a podcast first before a radio show. Because I don't know if you guys hear it, but like I can tell when people are on the radio and they're like doing a voice or like an impression of what they think a radio voice is supposed to sound like versus just talking. And I think because I did the podcast first and didn't feel the need to have like, on a podcast it's in the radio, so I don't have to have some fake voice or whatever. And then I'm going to change that. But the actual like 4 hours of live radio every day is a ton of fun and a lot of work. And as much as I thought I was prepared for it, like it's a cool, challenging new day every day, man.
And I mean, honestly, that's probably the best way to put it. I mean, it's always going to be a new experience. You never know, especially when you take callers. They introduce a new idea or a new angle to a topic,
totally.
and it's always something interesting, and they add value to the show. And with your podcast, man, obviously, I'm a fan, and we all listen to it. So, you're doing something good out here. Obviously, with the amount of attention it brings and its popularity, it's really good work.
I appreciate it. But one of the things I love the most, it's interesting you bring up the callers, because that's one thing that radio allows for is like way more kind of immediate interaction. And I love the podcast. The podcast is my baby, right? Like I built that thing from nothing. Whereas the 106.7 The Fan is going to be just fine with or without me, right? Like the Junkie's been on the air for 25 years. Like I'm not. I think me and B are building a real show and a real community and our own thing. But like 106.7 The Fan exists. Like the podcast is my thing. And I think one thing I miss the most, we would do the pod parties, especially before COVID and stuff. Can I curse on here?
Oh yeah. Hey, listen. No. You say what you need. You get it off your chest. If you got something, exactly. If you got there you go. Let us know what you drinking.
I mean, the Wizards game is about to start.
Exactly.
Yeah. So one of the things that I really like about the radio that I always miss, like I love doing pod parties. I try to interact on Twitter as much as I can. I'm not. There are reporters that like consider themselves kind of aristocrat, like removed from fans. Like I think that's bullshit. Like I am a fan, was a fan. Like it starts to change over time when it's a professional endeavor, right? When you see the sausage get made over and over again, and you see how really screwed up things have been in Ashburn for a long time, it impacts your fandom. But I imagine it impacts your guys' fandom. Like I know I follow Dre, I know it impacts his fandom. So but one thing that I hated with the podcast is there is no interaction. Like, and we could try to like record phone calls and play them, but it's just not going to work. We read tweets and emails and stuff, but the radio is immediate, and it's an immediate reaction. Like, I wish I was on the air when the Morgan Moses thing broke from Rappaport, right? Like, I can't wait to talk about that tomorrow morning, because to me, it's not whatever's going on with Morgan. My guess is there's more going on there, maybe contractually or something else. I'm curious if he's at OTAs. I know there's like 15 guys that aren't there. I think that could be fairly telling. But my thought is Ron kind of wants everybody out with ties to the old administration. And we can talk about Sam Cosmi or Charles Leno or, how good was Cornelius Lucas. I don't think that shit matters. I think this is about everybody in this building knows that my voice is the final voice. Nobody in this building, because people always hear oh, he has a relationship with Dan and assume that's a terrible thing, right? It's not always terrible. The owner in every city knows the players that have been there a while. If you get a second contract in the NFL, if you're drafted and get a second contract, you probably know the owner because on some level that dude has paid you $5 million, and then in that second contract he's probably paying you $10 million. So he wants to know you. And this isn't working for Kodak or something where there's 40,000 employees. The Washington football team probably employs about 250, 300 people, and 100 of them are the football operation, and the owner's going to know them all. That's just how it is. So I think this is more about Ron being in charge, and now that he's in a position where Morgan doesn't necessarily have to be part of the long-term plan, he's able to make some changes. Because think about who goes back to 2019 on this team. Name them.
I'm about to say, all you got is Terry.
Really.
I'm about to say, it's really Terry.
But JP, but JP, you also know what's interesting? Over the years, Morgan has become more comfortable with himself and started being more vocal as well. So, but that narrative,
got a lot of money in the bank.
doing weekly shows on radio as well. So it's just maybe Ron doesn't want him to be that voice of the team in some regard. He kind of probably wants to shift the gear and move on to the next thing. And also the way that even stuff played out with Trent Williams last year, Morgan had a lot to say about that as well.
Yeah, now a lot of that predates Ron, right? But then when Trent and Ron met, it wasn't a great meeting. I don't think Ron minds outspoken people. Ron coached Cam Newton, right? He can handle players doing their own thing. I'm curious if there's some money stuff involved. Morgan was set to make.
That's what I think.
Morgan was set to
7.5.
Right. You know what Lane Johnson's making or Jack Conklin? There are now. I'm just pulling 16. This up. I'm pulling this up on Over the Cap. There are 5 tackles making 10 mil or more next season.
Yeah.
And we're talking that's his. Let me pull it up. We're talking that's his cap charge. What he's actually making, because remember he got whatever his signing bonus was. He's already gotten. So what he's actually making next year isn't. He's probably making 7.5, but being charged 9.6. He probably wants to be making 11, or I don't think any of that shit's guaranteed anymore. I'm sure he'd like some guarantees, especially who's the guy in Denver that just blew out his knee and the team cut him?
Jawan James.
Yeah.
And I don't know that, right? My guess is there's a little more bubbling here than Ron just wants Morgan out. But I do think Ron wants guys out that have ties to the old regime. They got rid of everybody. I was talking with somebody I know out there, and we could count on our hands how many people are left from 2019. And, dude, that's I'm not counting ticket sales and marketing and whatever the hell, right?
Yeah.
They have completely flipped that thing over. And
definitely.
And I think Morgan's a good player. He coming off a good season in 2020. Yep. He's absolutely been a warrior for them. Every week I watch that dude just have wrecked ankles, and he'd play through it. He wouldn't practice all week and then play through it. And he learned that. Trent kind of demanded that, but I don't buy the now they did just sign Leno, right?
Yeah.
So that might have been the insurance they needed. But I think maybe there was discussions of getting something done previously, and then I don't know, man. I find it.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the two, because I also know Morgan's agent pretty well, Andy Ross. You've had other left tackles and right tackles in the league, Dwayne Brown, who happened to get traded from the Texans to Seattle, things of that nature. So it's probably a combination of the two. I mean, if you look at the salaries of a right tackle, he probably wanted some new money, and that discussion didn't go too well, and probably was like, hey, I want to get out of here. And, Andy's on board with supporting his clients, trying to get him out of here and get him some new money. Which makes perfect sense if you think about it.
But
Andy's a good dude.
So where did? Because I just want to ask this question, because I think all of y'all, JP and AJ, y'all are on to something good here in terms of like where this could have started. But we know that over this all season and including the draft, like they were just stockpiling guys at offensive line. I always felt it had something to do with just being prepared in case people come down to injury, especially like Morgan Moses. That was my initial hunch, was like maybe it had something to do with just being prepared in case somebody gets hurt. But like they were stockpiling guys in free agency and during the draft. I just want to know, like, in your hunch, because nobody actually has anything for sure right now, but where could this have like kind of turned left to the point where they're going to allow the trade? Is it simply over the money, or is it like a lot to do with a few things? Like, is that where y'all at with this?
Maybe I'm being skeptical. I don't think there's going to be a trade. I think he's going to get released. Like, to me, I always say this on the podcast, like, if you go to a player to talk about a pay cut, you have to be ready to release that player, because the player is probably going to say F you, and then you got no choice, right? You have no recourse. Sometimes a player will take a pay cut. That's because they know there's no other job for them. Like, if this news is coming out now that Morgan's available, why wouldn't another team just wait? If it's, he's available or they're going to cut him, just wait till they cut him. Now, that said, if some team values Morgan on this contract and having 2 years left at, call it $8 million per, maybe that team, to not have to sign him as a free agent and to not have to compete with other clubs, would send a fifth over, right? I don't know, a fourth. But Morgan's got to be on board with that too, because if he might want a new contract here, he might want a new contract somewhere else. So I just, NFL trades are so bizarre. Like, the market never matches up to what you think is the value of a player. Nothing more exemplifies that than Trent Williams being traded for a third and a fifth, and then a year later signing, one of the richest tackle contracts in history. So, and we can easily, just pile on Bruce for that. It was a massive mistake. He was a terrible GM, but like, it still happened. Yeah. And that was the best they could do. It's not like they were only taking one call. Like, they were calling everybody, who wants this guy? We're getting rid of him. So, Morgan, I think, would have more value than, like, people talk about trying to trade Sheriff, or before Kerrigan signed with the Eagles, people were like, why couldn't you trade him? Like, Morgan has 2 years left, but I don't think, maybe he'll get traded, but if I was a team, sorry, fellas, my allergies are killing me. If I was a team, unless I had a giant hole at right tackle, I'd wait. Or if you're, who's just loaded, like the Jets or the Dolphins or the Eagles, even, that just have a billion picks, and you can let a pick go, maybe that makes sense. But I'd wait. Like, okay. I feel like you see that fairly consistently.
Okay. I have a question from Kevin. What's going on, boss? I mean, I already said what's up to you already anyway. But Kevin asked,
how do I watch it on Twitch? I'm sorry about you. I know I asked you this. I want to see Twitch.
Yeah. So what I'll do,
I know nothing about Twitch.
What I'll do right quick, while I shoot off this question for you, right? I
can send JP the link.
Okay,
perfect. Also,
so,
is this really dark? Do you guys need me to throw some lights on?
Oh no, you're good.
Can you see me?
You're
Nah,
good.
it
We
looks
picking
good.
you up. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
it's kind of giving off.
You look like you're in like the penthouse.
Hey, about to say, we just
talked
talked about his background. We just talked about that man's background. That's hilarious.
I'm in Boston. I'm in Boston, connected to the Capitals practice facility. That's where I live.
That looks nice.
Appreciate it. And you got the Cliff Kingsbury vibes looking in the back.
All right. So fellas, Kevin asked, have you heard about, since we're on the Morgan's conversation, have you heard what his value could hold? Do you think Ron would hold more value with the presumed deeper draft next year, or trading for a player? What is your opinion on that?
For Morgan specifically?
Yeah.
Oh, this is cool. I see it now. It does kind of look cool, my background. What player are you getting in return? I mean, the player for player, I find interesting, certainly, but
Shoot, AJ said Julio Jones. I mean, not player for player directly, but he's talking about obviously a little bit more. But Morgan Moses trying to ship him off to Atlanta may seem ideal, or it could be ideal.
I mean, sure. I like Julio. I think he's got plenty left, but I think you're giving a lot up there.
Yeah.
I think if you're really trying to trade Morgan, the stream is cool. My computer sucks. So
Oh yeah, hey, look, yeah, I'm about to say it's all good.
I mean, you guys know this. Like, what position could they use some depth at, right? Because that's what you're getting. I wonder at corner. So you got Fuller and Jackson, Moreland, Stroman, Danny Johnson.
And who's the guy they just picked up today? They just got today, right?
Chris Miller covers the Wizards for us.
Yeah.
He's also a corner. I also think, I mean, they just drafted the kid, Benjamin St. Juice.
Yeah. So I was gonna say they need another boundary corner because Kendall Fuller needs to find his way back into the slot. As decent as he played on outside, he needs to find his way back into the slot.
Yeah, but I mean,
I like Kendall on the outside. I like Kendall.
It's hard to see that in the cards right now, right? Like,
yeah.
Who are you gonna play outside? Now, I
agree.
I really do. I asked Ron about this over the weekend, and we talked to D Hall on the radio last week. Like, I do think they're trying to build. They want to just put, like, depending on the package, right? Like, their 4, 5, or 6 best defensive backs on the field, and I don't think they're as worried about, like, kind of the position aspect of it as we are. And I think Jackson helps them a ton because he is a legit CB1 outside stud. Whereas Fuller's a really good player and really helpful, but, like, does a lot of different things well. So maybe if you could get a corner there for Morgan, or, I mean, they could still use linebacker help. I mean, maybe you wouldn't mind getting a vet kind of backup DN pass rusher. They just let Ryan go. But again, I think that's part of all the veterans, all the people with old ties.
Yep.
Good luck. I think,
Okay.
I mean, that's my thing. Like, a player for player swap sounds interesting. And hell, if you can pull off a Julio package, I don't think they're doing that. I was saying this throughout the draft. Like, I think they're committed to their long-term build. And I don't think going for Julio and giving up, you'd have to give up a first rounder, right? Like, I just don't think it happens.
First or second, I wouldn't do it.
I couldn't see it first.
Shit, I give up a second for Julio. I ain't asking no question. You want a second and Morgan Moses, take him.
Hey, but you got to keep in mind, save your ammo because you don't know what QB is going to be available next year. You want to need those high picks.
Yeah, and I mean, Julio's got a big number. You'd have to make the number work. I don't see outside of a quarterback a crazy major move. And I didn't think they were trading up for a quarterback. I said that pretty loudly going into the draft. Dude, I've had people over there tell me if it goes well with Ryan, we're having to roll with Ryan again, like in 2022. And here's the other thing: if you're looking at the long game, say they don't improve this year, say they go 7-10, right? And I don't think any of us expect that, but it could happen. They play some really tough teams, some really tough quarterbacks. Like, you kind of have a built-in answer. Like, yo, Fitzpatrick stinks. We need a quarterback, and you have one more year of building this thing. So I wouldn't expect a big move. I think if you trade Morgan, it's for depth or a draft pick.
But okay,
probably
so
a Saturday draft pick is my guess.
JP, so here's the thing: if you expect this team to do good and kind of like plug in Ryan Fitzpatrick as a quarterback, now you're getting into the 9-win, 10-win season. Now you're really not in play first round to go after a quarterback next year. So it's kind of a tricky situation that they're in, and there's not really great quarterbacks on the open market. Free agency expected to hit the open market next year. So it's kind of like, if you do have to make a splash in the offseason and trade, it probably would have to be focused on a quarterback more so than a wide receiver.
Yeah, but dude, I think we're entering the LeBron age of quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are just going to become available. I think Matt Ryan will become available next year. Who knows what we'll have with Derek Carr? Who knows what we'll have with Jimmy Garoppolo? I don't know. I like Ryan, but he's getting older. I think.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna mention this may be that one-time thing. That's all.
Yeah, this time last year, Matt Stafford wasn't getting traded to LA. The Rams had just signed Goff to a Fort Knox extension. Like, the quarterback market's going to continue to kind of evolve, I think.
Yeah. So JP, obviously we all got the Wizards game coming up, man. We got some things to watch tonight and some liquor to sip. So we're gonna get one more fan question, and we can go ahead and keep it moving for tonight, fellas. So Disco.
What are you guys drinking?
Let's ask Dre first. I know Dre got something over there.
I'm drinking water tonight, just water.
Hey, that's crazy because look, I'm not. I set Dre up because I was going to tell him I had water. So my man Dre,
I saw you drinking water. You had like the big jug.
Yes, absolutely. That's my all my water for the day, man. I'm sitting here thinking he was about to have a Moscow Mule over there, but he let me down.
I'll save it for the real playoffs.
I'm on Canada Driver right now, but there's Casamigos nearby.
Water. My wife likes Casamigos. I can't drink tequila.
Well, what are you drinking?
I'm about to say, come on, you let us know.
Tito's.
Oh, Tito's. You said Tito's?
Did I cut Tito's?
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Tito's.
Tito's in a green cup.
Now the question is, are you drinking it straight or do you got a little mixture in there?
I don't know when it happened, but I maybe it was COVID. I was just home too much and drinking too much. But I've become a total baby. Beamish made a lot of fun of me for this. I like Tito's and soda with a little bit of grapefruit juice, but I prefer pink grapefruit juice to regular grapefruit.
He got a specific grapefruit juice.
Yo,
that sounds really refreshing. That's a refreshing drink.
It's refreshing as hell. We were at an event for B-Mitch's book signing last week or 2 weeks ago, and the bartender was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Yeah, Tito's soda, splash of grapefruit," and they're like, "Yeah, no problem." I was like, "Do you by chance have pink grapefruit?" And the whole bar just started clowning me. But it's the cocktail of choice, dude. Trust me.
Look, I respect it, boss. For the record,
dude, bourbon, brown liquor, and tequila, for that matter. I just feel so bad the next day that I've had to kind of back off that. And
Oh my
the
goodness.
good and the bad of Tito's is that you can drink a lot of it and feel okay the next day.
Yes. I had a recent experience with some Espolonone on stream, matter of fact. But
What is that?
It's tequila. It's tequila. Yeah,
Oh,
so
dude,
it
you
was.
guys can have it.
It's really good, but be careful because it's so smooth. You get in trouble the next day. I'll tell you that. Yeah, you get in trouble. So
What
look,
do you make Moscow Mules, Dre?
Yes, that's my drink of choice in the house. It's either going to be an old fashioned or a Moscow Mule, but lately it's been the Mules.
But that's vodka.
And it got to be in the tin cup.
I think it
tin
has
cup
vodka.
too.
Sure. Yeah. What's your vodka of choice?
Tito's. That's the only
Okay.
vodka I can stomach.
The
I
only
can't
vodka.
do Grey Goose anything.
That's why Putin is so mad. Is America now makes That's what he's so mad.
Yeah, I'm not drinking the Russian stuff.
Hey,
Get the hell out of here.
I'm out of my
make,
element with the
What
vodka.
do you make
man.
your old fashions with?
Oh, I use the see, I get a little fancy with the old fashioned. I get my sugar cube. I get the demi-raw syrup instead of, sometimes if I don't want to do the sugar cube, I'll do the demi-raw syrup with the little maraschino cherry. Put the I like Elijah Craig for my topper, so that's what I use.
like
and it
Elijah.
has to
That's
have a
good.
big ice cube.
I think it's so silly when people use really high-end bourbon for old fashions because it's like, yo, I'm mixing sugar and oranges. Like, if you're gonna drink really high-end bourbon, just drink it neat or on the rocks, but not with sugar in it.
Yeah. Or you can go to the Bullet Bourbon Rye route, the green bottle.
That's my shit.
That's good
right there. The bourbon, the Bullet.
Yeah.
Disco ass, no Popov. I don't know what Popov is, Dre. So I'm assuming you know. What the hell is Popov?
I don't know what that is.
Russian, but I'm about to say, Disco. You need to educate us on what a Popov is, man. Because I'm out of my element. Pop. He says pop off. It's
not like a
hop off.
Oh, you don't know about Popov?
What the hell is a pop off?
Is like $7 for a gallon. Yeah, it's like college, like it's dirt cheap.
Are we talking about like Mad Dog, like the Mad Dog 2020 shit, like all that bull stuff?
No. It's just vodka. Have you ever had Zelko or like any like really cheap, terrible vodka?
Yeah, I've had terrible vodka. Yeah.
Disco confirmed it.
That's what Popov is.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Pretty much drinking rubbing alcohol.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no.
If you're over 25, you shouldn't be drinking Popov.
Right.
Over 25. Okay. All right. So look.
Like if you're broke in college, like, all right, have some Popov and Sprite. Like, do your thing. But
put $2 together and get a bottle.
First off, if y'all in college listening to this, y'all need to look. If you're in college listening to this, please do better for yourself. Okay. Just do better for yourself. Take your time. Get your friends. Pour together some money, get a gallon of some good stuff, you know what I'm saying, and do yourself a favor. Don't drink none of that Everclear. Don't drink none of that vodka stuff that they talking about. Stay away from the what's that, hypnotic, all that good stuff. Stay away from it. All right, do some good stuff. I don't know what it is, but it's better. You can do better out there. You can do better. But look, JP, man, I appreciate it. We all got some things going on tonight, and I appreciate you giving us the time, even with you giving us the extended time, because we definitely said by 8:30. You hung out with us a little bit longer. Obviously, we didn't get to talk the current skins and everything that was going on with like the outlook of 2021. Hopefully, we can circle back down the road. But obviously, we got some things to watch tonight, the Wizards, all that good stuff. JP, if you got some other things going on that you want to plug in, go ahead, get it out. The floor is yours, boss man. Let the people know what you got going on.
I appreciate it, man. Just check out the podcast, check out the radio show, and hit me up on Twitter and Instagram. And I don't know, I'm from here, man. I love talking sports with people that are from here. That's just kind of my life. It drives my wife crazy, but I just try to have fun while I'm doing it. And if I ever come across like a jerk, it's just because I'm 9 times out of 10 just messing around.
Absolutely.
No, man, you're doing a phenomenal job here, JP, man. Definitely see you on the bigger scale real soon.
I don't want to go anywhere.
You're doing an amazing.
People like.
Okay, so let me ask you that.
I don't want to go anywhere.
I wonder, have you got those calls from the ESPN, the Fox Sports, and NFL Network and things of that nature? Has it just been you want to stay at home with your family and not have to necessarily be all over the place?
This is a good
Because,
question.
you're amazing at your job.
I don't want to front and act like I've gotten offers from any place, right? But like, I've talked to people about, it's like networking, like whatever field you guys work in, you meet and talk to other people. There are jobs I'd like, but I love what I'm doing. My wife won't move anywhere, which is a problem. Like I'm a Maryland guy. I'd move to Virginia. My wife won't even move to Virginia. So I think that's a big part of it. My oldest daughter's in school now. Like my little girl will be in school soon. We love our neighborhood, and it's home. Like, for better or worse, this is home. You guys know it. Like, I don't think nothing's on my radar. I'm not, especially now at the radio show. Like, I'm a hyper competitive person, and I like to win every effing day. And I want to build that radio show into a freight train. Like I want it to be the biggest, best radio show in town. Like I want it. I just attack success, man. And I love doing it here. I think especially now that like gambling's coming on board in and around DC.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, this father ducking football team could ever be good consistently. Like, you know how great that would be?
It would be amazing.
I feel
for
like
all of us, it would be amazing.
Totally. Too much time and effort into a freight train dumpster fire football team that I deserve a good football team. So,
what's the name? John Kine tells me this all the time. He's like, I can't wait until this team gets good, Because I can only imagine, like, covering a team that always has some type of turmoil behind it. Like, that shit, like, even me, like, working with D'Angelo Hall and things of that nature during the years, and this is the team I grew up on, it's like, when the fuck will this stop? Like, when can we just talk about winning games or opportunities to be in the playoffs and championships? Like, shit is annoying.
A buddy of mine I was at Georgetown with covers the Patriots, and we joke about like how different our lives are, like what he's done in the last 10 years versus what I've done in the last 10 years. And it's like, it's night and day. It's total opposite planets. So,
yeah.
And at least we've finally seen some success with the Nats and the Caps, and hell, even the Wiz are not awful, which is pleasant. So, if the Washington football team can ever get there, it would be so much fun.
Absolutely. And to close out, Disco, our guy in the chat mentioned, he always said that some of the media folks won't know how to act if this team is consistently winning. And Disco, I think that's all of us, man. We haven't seen it for over 30 years, bro. So I haven't seen it at all. I'm 27.
Let's not aspirate ourselves and think this is successful.
It is not.
Won the division and it was cool, but let's not confuse what happened with being good. Let's be good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Consistently.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Jay, who do people tell you look like?
And it's funny.
I'm curious
JP is funny because back in the day, I get a lot of different things, but back in the day, Brian Mitchell used to say I look like Santana Moss, which was weird to me. I had never heard that before. But now I get Ice Cube. I get Ice Cube all the time.
I would not have said. I kind of think you look like D Hall.
I never heard that one before.
You guys see it?
Hey, look. Hey, put a poll out, man. D Hall. I like that one. I like that one, AJ. Anthony Anderson.
Anthony Anderson's a little rounder.
Oh, man. Nah, that reminds me of the barbershop days, bro. Anthony Anderson, you look like a little Anthony Anderson, bro. Barbershop days. You got. I just saw that too a couple weeks ago. A little Anthony Anderson. You know what I'm saying?
I get so many different things.
Yeah.
Is that the Caps' new goalie?
I don't even know. I know nothing.
That's Craig Anderson. This is a dumb joke. I'm pulling up Anthony Anderson. I guess.
All right, we need to poll it.
I feel disrespected by that.
But look, y'all. Hey, I appreciate everybody for hopping on tonight, man. Especially JP for joining us. Again, for those who watch live, appreciate y'all for tuning in. I will be back tomorrow for the All 32 side of Trap or Dive, and then next week again we'll be back Tuesday, fellas. We will get to the top 10 players. We need to talk about that. We won't let it slide.
We should have incorporated JP into that top 10.
Look, I wanted to.
Top 10 of the FedEx era?
Dan Snyder. It was based off. I think Alpha Michael Phillips. Yeah.
So Phillips's list was whack. I was going back and forth with him. Did you see my list that I tweeted at him?
I actually didn't see it. Let me find it. Hold on.
I think my list is.
Who's your number one, Jay?
So I didn't put them in order. I just gave you 10, and I'm gonna find it real quick because I think.
Is it on your? Did you tweet it out?
I replied. So if you have Phillips's tweet with his list, I replied to him with it.
Okay.
But yeah, I tweeted it out, but it's my chicken scratch handwriting, and a lot of people were saying they couldn't read it. So I'll just tell you my name.
Is Chris Cooley on your list? Because I don't think he should have been on the top 10 list. Chris Cooley.
Yeah, he ain't on it.
I think of the last 20 years.
I see the list. He's on here. He's definitely on here.
I go Portis, Moss, London Fletcher, Sean Taylor, Ryan Kerrigan, Trent Williams, Cooley, D. Hall, Sheriff, Chris Samuels.
I think we're forgetting about. Hold on.
Hey, I'm about to say AJ and Dre. I want to hear y'all
top
go.
Of the list.
Okay, Portis is on there. Let's see. Do I see London Fletcher?
Yes, he's number 3.
Yeah, I see London there. Okay.
Champ Bailey?
Dude, Champ Bailey definitely be on there.
But you're saying that, I mean, Champ's a Hall of Famer, but he was here for 3 years. And
I ain't gonna lie, I don't have Champ on mine at all.
Yeah, I don't either.
Champ was a Pro Bowler 4 out of 5 years here. I had to put him on there.
He demanded to get out of town.
So
I can't blame him. I almost traded myself out of this fan base.
I think you could argue Champ. You could argue LeVar.
Yeah.
You could argue Deshaun or Pierre or maybe even Jordan Reed. But I don't have any quarterback on there. And if I did, it'd be Robert ahead of Kirk.
I agree. Hey, so Dre, let's hear
can
yours.
You put Brandon Scherf on the list? My list goes Trent Williams, Santana Moss, Clinton Portis, Sean Taylor, Chris Samuels, London Fletcher, Champ Bailey, Ryan Kerrigan, Brandon Scherf, because the only first team All Pro since 1996. You can't ignore that. And then RG3 for his most electric QB season. Yeah, okay, so RG3 is probably my most controversial one. Number 10 because of this electric season.
I think my most controversial are D. Hall or Brandon Scherf.
Ooh.
Okay.
I got D Hall up on this, but I could be biased. But I mean, he had a hell of a run after getting released from Oakland.
D Hall was a fucking playmaker, bro. Yeah. AJ, he's a playmaker. He's on the list.
You look up Stephen Davis's stats because I thought that was more at FedEx at RFK.
Okay. Let me look at it.
Stephen Davis posted like a 1,300 and a 1,400 yard season at FedEx.
Hey, that's a good flashback right there.
One of those was 98, I think. But
no,
Disco
I
said
thought
no
so
Darryl
too,
Green.
and then I looked it up, man. He this is the right one. Dude, Stephen Davis in 2001 went for 1,400 yards, and in 2000 he went for 1,300 with 11 touchdowns. Like
average 100 yards a game.
Remember that era? He killed us with fumbles. Stephen Davis fumbled and killed us in games. It was the Cowboys Monday night game. I'll never forgive him for that.
Hey, bro, this man had
a 10-game winning streak on us, and he fumbled on Monday night and lost us that damn game.
Dude, in 2000, in 99, 99 they were at FedEx, right?
I think so. 99,
yeah, I think so.
Because they moved in 97.
Well, yeah, it was FedEx.
Dude,
correct.
In 1999, he had 1,400 yards and 17 touchdowns. 17 touchdowns.
That's what I was just looking at. 17 touchdowns that's actually.
Brad Johnson had a hell of a year that year too.
That team was good, and then Dan still fired North.
Forget Dan. Hey AJ, where your list at, man? Why we on it? What's your list talking about?
My list is Champ Bailey, Trent Williams, Sean Taylor, Clem Portis, Chris Samuels, Santana Moss, London Fletcher, I had to put RG3 up there. That was one of the best seasons I've ever seen.
Okay.
From a Redskins quarterback, Jordan Reed, and of course my guy D Hall.
So listen, JP, I wanna hear your take on what AJ got to say about Kerrigan and his boy Chris Cooley. What was you saying before the before the show started, man? Before we went live.
I mean, I just think they've been average, but for some reason, you would think they're like all pros in the league is just insane, and that's nothing against Ryan as a person.
Yeah.
I know he's an amazing teammate, everything of that nature, but I just think that some people, especially with Kerrigan, when they look at those sack numbers, they try to sell to you like he was Von Miller, Khalil Mack, DeMarcus Ware, something of that nature. And I just always hated that because I'm like, he's an average pass rusher, but he's not elite. But, when they reference back to the numbers, I guess it sells to them that he was an elite pass rusher. And that's just not what it was for me.
And JP just said his phone died, so he said he appreciated us for.
Hey, it's so hilarious because it looks like he's paying attention to what AJ is saying, bro. It got me. That is hilarious. Okay.
We gotta make this a meme. Like,
hey, no bullshit.
This is looking at me like I was crazy.
This will be clipped. This will be sent out on Twitter. This will be on YouTube. All that good stuff. Okay. Well, while we all got our list out, I'll go ahead and close out the show with ours, and we can watch the Wizards game. Right. So I had number 1 Trent Williams, 2 Sean Taylor, 3 I had Jordan Reed, 4 London Fletcher, 6 Clinton Portis, 7 Santana Moss, 8 D'Angelo Hall. Hold on, wait, did I skip one? I think I did. I did skip a number. Anyway, I have London at 4.
That boy can't count.
No, because I still had Ryan Kerrigan at 5 here, but I was pushing him back. So 5 is Clinton Portis, 6 is Santana Moss, 7 is D'Angelo Hall, 8 is Ryan Kerrigan, 9 is Sean Springs, and 10 is Chris Samuels, with one honorable mention, and that's RG3 because he definitely produced
Hold on. You put Chris Samuels lower than Kerrigan?
Oh, I mean, look, trust me. Kerrigan, look, as much as I talk about, y'all know how I feel about Kerrigan, bro. And so what I say is genuine when I say this, bro. As much as I had a problem with the perception of Kerrigan, I will give him his credit in that he was definitely a producer and consistent for about 6 or 7 seasons with Washington. I will give him his credit. That doesn't mean I think he was great or elite, but he was definitely productive under the Dan Snyder era. I'll give him his credit. And with JP intently listening to us and paying attention and not saying anything, I think he agrees with us. He agrees with what I'm saying right now. he responded. Okay, I don't think he agrees anymore. I don't think so. But yeah, man, that's where I'm at with it, bro. You know what I'm saying? I give Craig his credit, bro. That's all it is, man. I know. Hey, Medill Williams is not on the list, Disco. All right, we are not putting him on the list. He's the bottom 10 list. That's where he's at, along with Adam Archuleta and all them guys. But yeah, let's go ahead and get up out of here, fellas. Hey, everybody watching, Homer, what's going on, man? We clocking out. But appreciate you for giving us a shot, tuning in. The podcast will be out tomorrow, Homer. But yeah, everybody, appreciate y'all for listening. Back tomorrow, all that good stuff, man. Peace.
All right, peace.